And we're live. Well, I'm live. This is Debra Eckerling. I am the founder of the Deb Method and author of Your Goal Guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals. A little delay on the guest, so we're gonna talk about rebooting for a bit, and it might be a short chat, it might be a long chat, we might get a surprise guest. But the point of it is, and the reason why this topic I think is so important, is now everybody needs to reboot. And if that rebooting has to do with your business or your work-life balance, because most of your work and your life are kind of merged together, it really doesn't matter. We all go through instances in our lives where through change or through choice or circumstance, we get faced with change. Now, the difference is if you embrace the change and really jump into it, you're going to be in a lot better shape than if you kind of let change happen to you. And it's really, I don't want to say funny. My book, Your Goal Guide, came out in January, 2 months before the pandemic, when everybody really had to face a change, even if it would, and a lot of people went through minor changes, most people went through major changes. But what happens is you get faced with all this kind of, I don't want to say disarray, and it really is what gives you pause to look around and say, okay, I've got this, what am I going to do next? And the Deb Method is really all about figuring out what that next is. So for those who don't know, Deb stands for, well, in addition to being my name, it's determine your mission, explore your options, brainstorm your path. And these are the three steps you really need to go to hone in on that thing, what it is you really want. And once you get there, even though it might look a little bit different these days, if you have a goal in mind, then you can build toward it. And it really just starts with that, okay, who am I? What is it that I want to create? How will it help others? And what is it going to do to manifest itself? You start with that, and that's really the beginning of the reboot. And speaking of reboot, as long as I have you all here, it's the perfect opportunity to explain a little bit more about what's been going on in my head. Now, I decided that since 2020 has been so challenging for so many people, we should just get rid of it as soon as possible. So I propose that we start 2021 on December 1st. So yes, you get 2 Decembers for 2021, one at the start of your year and then one at the end of the year. And it's going to be so much fun. I always say so much fun, but it is, because then you've got like an extra month to get things rolling and do things and go really roaring into calendar year, I guess, 2021, off to a fresh start. So because of this, I planned all sorts of fun things for December and of course January. And in November, I've been doing Be Nice to You November, so different self-care goal every day. And then in December, we're going to start New Year, New You. So it will be a goal that helps you make the most out of next year in this reboot. So what do you have to do to join the Start 2021 Now revolution? I am so glad you asked. What I would love for you to do is jump on in and just declare your commitment. So if you go to start2021now.com, it'll redirect you to the Deb Method, where you can do a click to tweet. So if you can declare your commitment and then start working towards thinking about these goals. Of course, I will have a New Year's party on December 1st for our new year. And yes, I will probably do on January 1st for those traditionalists who are still good with the calendar year. And we're just going to jump in and have a lot of fun. Sound good? Okay, wonderful. Now, I think my guest is coming in. So, my special surprise guest is coming in. So I'm just going to add you to the stream. So Viveka von Rosen, Chief Visibility Officer at Vengreso and a dear friend. I'm so glad you could jump on.
Surprise!
Yeah, you're well. And the reason that I was like thinking, okay, guest is having technical difficulties or whatever. Viveka has a great rebooting story. Do you not?
Which one? Hey, everyone. So,
why don't we start?
The one where you saved my butt, that one? You and 6 other people saved my rear end, that one?
Well, no, but this is the other reason I thought of you. So my guest today had a time difference issue on Viv's Live. So I jumped on and he's having I've got a message from him. So I'm going to go peek at what that is. Okay. But why don't you introduce yourself and we'll go and then I will talk about the reboot story that I love. I mean, you've like rebooted what, 3, 4, 5, 7 times, but always with a smile.
I like literally thought you meant reboot your computer because it's been one of those days, but sure, no problem.
Okay, so why don't you introduce yourself?
Awesome. So, hey, everyone, I'm Viveka von Rosen. I'm, today is not a video day. So we've got like the greasy hair pulled back, no makeup on, but Deb's such a good friend of mine. When she said, hey, can you jump on my live? I'm like, no, yes. I'm like literally in my tracksuit, like, but anyway, Viveka von Rosen, Chief Visibility Officer with Vengreso. We're the biggest digital sales transformation company. So yeah, we teach and train people how to use LinkedIn and Sales Navigator and selling with video. And we have fun on lives. I've got my own Vengreso Live, which Deb has been on now twice, once on purpose. Although when we had you on purpose, it didn't work that day to go live on LinkedIn. But hey, at least we had you on Facebook. Oh my gosh, technology. Yay.
Well, the story that I wanted you to share, because in people who go to my goal chat and go to this live know that I've been brewing a new podcast called Change Happens, and it's all on the concept that when change happens, you can embrace it or you can run and hide, and sometimes you have to run and hide before you can embrace it. But with you had a major business change happen, which caused you to like really go down the LinkedIn rabbit hole. So why don't you share that?
That one, the original one. Yeah. So previous to my previous company, I'm now Vengreso. Previous to that, I had LinkedIn to Business for 12 years. And so previous to that, I was a partner in a company that shall go unnamed with my fiance who shall go unnamed and our partner who shall go unnamed. And they shall all go unnamed because my partner or my fiance and our other partner were having an affair on me. So surprise, I literally was about to sign a contract on a new apartment. I had moved to Denver. And, here we were about to take off on our new life together. And like literally that Friday, a friend of mine said, those two. Yeah. And so went, confronted, ended the relationship. I came home back to Fort Collins. Thank God. I had promised to rent my place out to friends, but I said, I'm not moving. And this is why. They were so gracious. Not only did they find another place, but they helped me get my stuff back from our place in Denver. But the next Monday I was at work, and cause I had another job, I had a day job at the time. And, 2 friends of mine from out of the blue, this on Twitter, back when you actually read your DMs, but, both of them, 2 friends, big names in the LinkedIn training space, reached out to me and said, hey, what you doing? Like, and this was before everybody, like, this is pre-Kardashian. This is before everybody was, revealing everything about themselves on social. So I had not mentioned to anybody what had happened, but 2 people out of the blue reached out to me and, hey, what are you doing? And it was just that one thing I needed to take me over the hump and pursue, continue to pursue my career. And then it was great because shortly after that, I quit my day job. I launched LinkedIn to Business full time, launched the blog, was able to hire someone, got the book deal, got the first LinkedIn Learning deal. So it all came really quickly. And I guess the 2 points to be made here is, when you think it's when you think it's the end of the world, it might be, it might be the end of the cliff, but it's that cliff that you've got to leap off in order to get, to really succeed in life. And don't do business with the person you sleep with. Those are the two things.
Excellent. Those of you
taking on the second one.
Two life lessons from Viv, and Dave has joined us, so we're gonna do like a 3-person.
Hey, hi, everybody.
Because that sounds a lot better than what I was about to say.
Yeah.
I can't come close to topping that story. I have no exciting things like that, so I think I'm gonna leave now.
But you just got here.
Well, I don't have any cheating. I'm terrified to do that. My wife will kill me. More importantly, she'll destroy my computer, which would be the worst thing in the world. So anyway. Yes.
Okay. So
thank you for letting me be fashionably late. It's, as you know, you're here. It was 90 degrees today.
Oh.
It went from freezing.
Yeah.
Okay. And Viv, you're going to stick around and we're going to chat more, right?
Yeah, I'll stick around.
Okay, awesome. Yes, it went from freezing in LA, because Dave and I are both in different parts of LA, to 88 degrees today. Okay. And for us, freezing is like 60 and like 4 covers.
So I warmed up the pool, and my son wanted to go swimming, and we went. I was just laying in there, and then I saw your message. We'll be in 5. I'm like, oh, I thought we were going live at 5. So anyway, I'm here, fresh from the pool, and I think because I was late, we need to give away a product today to the audience. It'll be my to pay back. So
well, you know what I would love is, I'm having a big New Year's party on December 1st. So why don't we? Yes, on December 1st. So while
we're done with 2020, man, we're done with 2020.
But that would be an excellent. Let's do a giveaway for the New Year's party.
We're going to give away a couple of the creator kits, the microphone, the light, and the little tripod.
Oh, how sweet are you!
3 of them. Since
3?
There's 3 of us.
Oh, aren't you just so?
Yes, look at that. Viveka's in the game.
Okay, I don't have any for show and tell, sniff, but you're awesome.
Said, give me your address, and I was going to send you.
I sent it to you.
I never got it.
Okay, we're gonna
private chat right now.
Private chat right now. Okay, so Dave.
Yes.
Before we spiral more.
Okay.
Why don't you introduce yourself and say what your business is?
Okay. Well, my name is Dave Basulto. I am the inventor and CEO of iOgrapher, which is a mobile filmmaking case. In fact, I will bring it over here since I luckily have one handy. So you can put your phone in here.
I don't have one of those.
You need one of these too.
I need one of those.
You put your phone in here and you can add lenses, lights, microphones, put it on a tripod, and just shoot better footage with it. I got the idea as a high school media teacher, which I was before. And then, here I am 7 years later, and, multi-million-dollar business that just out of the blue came about and changed my life forever.
Okay.
I was to say, I was at a wedding at the end of December, and my friend Sarah Monroe had one of had one of those and was doing the wedding.
Oh, my God. I love that.
Yeah. I was like, and then that was after I'd met you at Subi Zimmerman's. And so I'm like, oh my God, that's Dave. That's an iOgrapher. So anyway, you're everywhere.
Something comes up where it's somewhere in the world, and it's very humbling. Like someone had asked me some questions, and it turned out we worked out together at the same gym last year. And so I said, you know what, I want to send you some free gear. So I sent her some gear. She was very thankful, nice email. And turns out she runs a nonprofit that goes over and they inspect orphanages in Africa. Wow. So she sent back all these amazing photos. They were just beautiful of these beautiful children, and they were so happy. And then, but my product right there, I'm like, I just love where this stuff goes and how it kind of helps everybody. It's kind of fun.
At least it can travel, even though you can't.
Exactly.
Well, the thing that I love about your story, and you skip like 5 steps.
Well, I don't know how much you wanted me to tell.
I want the 3-minute how you became you.
Okay.
Because I think I counted like 5 pivots when we talked.
How far back?
Your career.
Teaching.
Okay.
No, before teaching.
Okay.
Before the movies.
I'll tell
before Wall Street.
I'll tell the funny Wall Street stuff.
Okay.
All right. So graduate high school, full scholarship to San Diego State University, play football, business degree, get recruited to work on Wall Street by Dean Witter Reynolds, which is a big stock brokerage at the time. They've since been bought out by Morgan, JP Morgan, etc. Anyway, worked on the 63rd floor of the World Trade Towers. It was absolutely beautiful. It was 1987, 88. Thought this was the greatest thing in the world, and I was going to do this for the rest of my life. Loved New York, coming from LA. I was an LA guy my whole life, and New York was just so exciting to me. Gained a lot of weight because I didn't work out anymore. I walked around and had happy hour most of the time, so it was a lot of fun. But while I was out one night, I was out with some friends. They happened to be some model girls. I don't know why they were models. I wouldn't hang out with models. One of them was approached by this woman who turned out to be a really big casting director. Her name was Joy Todd, and she was casting a movie called Rocky V. And I was still in decent shape at the time, and I had a big, like a ponytail before it was cool. And and she says, "Would you like to be an extra in a movie? I like your look." And I'm like, "Sure." I had no idea what that was. And so all of a sudden, I became an extra in Rocky V, and they made me a newspaper reporter with a camera, and it was really dumb. But I fell in love with it. Got to speak to Sylvester Stallone because he liked me. I was a big guy, and just the rest of the people on there. And all of a sudden I had this thing, I'm going to be a famous actor. And so much to my parents' chagrin, I moved back to LA and got into acting as an extra. And within 6 months, I had my Screen Actors Guild card and just acted in tons of movies and television. Cheers, Mad About You, News Radio. I mean, tons of old shows like that.
Old. Did you hear?
I know. I'm like,
they're
going, that was just
now, I guess. So I think of Casablanca as a classic, okay? But people are like, "You were in that classic?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" But so one of the funny moments I remember was on the set of Cheers. I was playing this dumb role where I had to carry in some concrete because Woody was ordering stuff for the bar but messing up all the time. So there was 3 of us that kept bringing. One guy brought a big bale of hay. I brought concrete, and anyway, I forgot the other guy did. But so we're sitting there during the break, and Ted Danson had been talking to me. It was really cool, and he says, "I need you to do me a big favor. When Woody comes over, I want you to grab him around like a bear hug." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna get fired for that, you know?" So he goes, "No, don't worry." I'm like, "Okay." So he comes over, I grab Woody Harrelson. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And Ted Danson runs over, throws water all over him and me. Yeah. And then I let go, and they chase each other around the set. And I was like, "Oh my god!" But anyway, it was just the crazy stuff in the film business. And so did that for quite a few years. Feast and famine business, but got into being a director and a producer. So I saw that those guys had steadier jobs, that they like, kind of were the bosses. And I said, that's kind of what I want to do. And so I put together my first movie, 95. And it was called 18 Shades of Dust. And it was with all these guys that eventually became main people of The Sopranos. And it was a gangster movie with Danny Aiello. I put it together in 25 days because I knew financing and whatnot. And we raised $2.5 million. And I went to New York, and all of a sudden I was a producer. So, and I kid you not, I found a book that was like how to be a Hollywood producer. And I read everything about it. Like, what the hell am I doing here? You know?
Oh my God, I love it.
There's a lot of smart people below me. And so I produced for many years, learned how to do it, and lots of movies, worked with Lifetime Television. Exec producer was my last big gig there, and worked with Mel Gibson's company, produced a film for them. And then I decided I wanted to go off and direct. And so I started to direct this little horror movie called, oh God, what was it called? Come to me. I was losing my mind right now. Anyway, it'll come to me. But I directed this little horror movie, and we made it for $10,000 on a little camera, a Panasonic camera. It's called Death Click. Thank you. I just remembered.
Yeah.
It was basically a bunch of high school kids that go off into the mountains and someone's killing them off one by one. My entertainment attorney said if I wanted to get into directing, make my own movie. And so I did that on digital, and I edited it myself. I had a USC guy who's now a bigwig in Hollywood directing, who was a kid then, do all my effects and everything. I had a USC kid that was my cinematographer. So basically what I'm saying is I don't have to pay them a dime. And then I had a bunch of actors, because where I'm in Hollywood, right? So it's a dime a dozen. And so we went out and made this little movie and ended up selling it for over 6 figures to Blockbuster. They were really,
oh my God, that's awesome.
They were buying anything at that time because they wanted a lot of stuff on the shelves. So that was I loved it. And then I got just really burned out on the movie business because, like I said at the very beginning, it's feast and famine unless you're working long-term for one of the studios and doing stuff like that. So I wanted to do something else. My wife was a big production designer. She had done stuff like Dexter and what else? A lot of Showtime shows. Weeds. Weeds.
Oh, I loved Weeds.
Yeah, so she did a lot of those shows, and it's just these 16, 18-hour days, and then just anyway, we wanted to have a family, so luckily we had to save some money, and so we were going to do that, and it turned out to me sitting on the couch more and more and playing video games. And she said, "You have to go do something with your life again." So at that time, as luck would have it, my very good friend from high school growing up was the head of the ROP department, which in a high school, which is CTE, like career technical education, all that stuff. So she says, "Would you like to come and teach media and animation?" And I'm like, okay, let me think about that. What is that? And so I went over and I got to meet the kids, and I saw what the job, and I mean, it didn't pay very much, but I didn't care. It just was like a great opportunity to kind of pass on what I had learned along the way to these students, and I loved it. It was the greatest job I ever had. I have so many adopted sons and daughters now. We are constantly in touch still. I do my best to continue to help them out and put them in the right direction. And so while I was there, we were limited to funds. And so, which makes me really sad because I know what teachers go through, having to come out of their own pockets to buy stuff for their classroom, which is ludicrous. But so I was in the classroom, and we literally had like three DSLR cameras. We had a couple of old big cameras. And I had 130 students all day, and I was like, we've got to figure out a way to do better and do more work, because I was getting 20 kids to a project, and no one was doing anything. So right around that time, the iPad Mini had come out. I thought it was an amazing tool because it had a great camera. It shot high definition. You could do photos on it. You could do stop motion animation. You name it. It was all there. Editing. And so I started to let them use, we got a few of those in. I said, let's use these. And we were getting way more work done. It was so intuitive to these students because there's the toys that they have in their pocket, right? They understand how to use all this stuff. It's now it was just me telling them or trying to teach them how to tell stories, which is the key to everything. And so I was getting all this great work done, but it was always shaky and it always had bad audio. And so I started to tinker around, and I put together this little 3D model that I knew how to do. I know how to 3D modeling tools. And so we printed it in the class, and all of a sudden I had this working prototype, and the kids were using it, and it worked, and I was done, and I was just the teacher, right? And one of my evil students said, "You should go and do a Kickstarter." And I was like, "What is that?" And so then the wheels started turning. Maybe I wonder if this is any, if people will like this. And so anyway, we did the Kickstarter, and we got it funded. I got a phone call from Forbes, and the teacher who wants to change video, and the New York Times are writing things, and I was just like, this is insane. And so here I was with this idea, with this prototype, with a successful Kickstarter, but no manufacturing experience whatsoever. No distribution and marketing experience and any of that. So I basically had to learn on the job, and I was lucky that I was in a place where the school, what do you call it? Where the school was just had a great bunch of parents. It was an affluent school. One of the moms owned an injection molding company here in California, so we make everything there.
Because there's anything you need in Los Angeles.
It's ridiculous. Another parent owns a packaging company that does Lancome and all these big things. So they do all of our packaging for us. And then so we were getting started slowly but surely. And then one of my very close friends, whose kids I taught, and just like he's like an older brother to me. When we immediately we just hit it off. He's a very large, a very big time attorney at Disney by day. And so he saw what I was doing, and he used to always like, hey, let's come over and have a chat, and beautiful giant house. And he'd like to chat walking around the neighborhood and tire me out all the time. Like, why do we have to do these long walks? Anyway, so this particular time we're walking, he goes, I love this idea that you have. I wrote out this check for $500,000. I want to be your partner. What do you say we do this together and make it real? And I was like, sure, let's go do it. So that was, let's see, 8.5 years ago now.
Wow.
And, and at first I tried to teach and do it at the same time, but it got to a point, I believe the first 6 months we had gotten the Best Buy deal, and they wanted us in 1,000 stores. So I would go out to the kids and tell them, okay, today here's a syllabus. This week we're working on this short film. If you have any questions, ask my TA. I'll be in the back room. And I was getting away with it, but I wasn't giving it like I was to them. I was just so distracted and just had so much to do.
Yeah.
And so I had to put in my notice. It was very sad. And anyway, but so that just launched everything, and we haven't looked back since. So knock on wood.
Wow. Well, it's very cool that you've had, and we were talking before, so Deb, you've had like pivots as well. Have any of your pivots been this extreme?
No. No one came up to me and said, here's $500,000. I want to be your partner.
I know, right?
I love it. I love it. No, and there are just some things that are meant to be, and others you have to work your ass off for. But no, and I love that you tried to teach. I love that you didn't just go, see ya. You tried to do it for 6 months, and
it was absolutely impossible. And it's funny because we just launched mobilevideoschool.com, because I really get asked a ton of questions all the time that reminded me about how do you do this? How do you make a short film? How do you stream this? How do you do this? So I was like, okay, let me just go back to my teaching roots and start to do some classes and see how it goes. And it's been crazy. It's been really wonderful. so that's enough. Like, I don't have enough to do. I thought I'd start an online school as well.
Because why not, right?
Why not? I'm stuck at home. I can't go anywhere. I may as well make content.
Exactly.
Okay, that's such a good transition. I want to go through, because last night we had our Twitter chat on rebooting, and
which I still need to connect with you to learn how the hell to do a Twitter chat, because
well, Agora Pulse is doing a social pulse summit on Twitter on Wednesday.
Okay.
And
Are you speaking?
I am speaking on
Done.
Twitter chat goals. But
Done.
yeah, we can definitely talk a little bit more beyond that. But let me drop this link in here, because everybody should. And I love that Agora Pulse is doing so many things that are helping educate people to get out of their head, because this is what I was going on about while I was waiting for you all to appear. It's like magic. It's a challenging time, and it's awful for some people, and it's wonderful for other people. And somewhere in the middle is got to be some form of normal. And the good news is, with all this downtime, is you can reboot, reflect, really give some time and energy into the thing that you love, that you want to grow, whether or not you're working at the same time. And I guess I just answered the question, how do you define rebooting? Is really taking a step back and looking at not only your options, but what it is you love to do, and try and merge it into something that you could bring forth to the world. And if you need help, I've got my beautiful book, which is like the first half of it.
I am still reading. I'm a bad, slow reader, but I love it. It is a fantastic book. And
thank you.
Yes. And if I had it next to me, no, it's in my bedroom. Sorry. I recommend the book fully.
But the whole point of why I decided to start 2021, December 1st, is everybody's just kind of waiting for the year to be over.
Yeah.
So
waiting for January 20th.
Yes. I second that. I like nice peace and quiet for 4 years.
And articulateness.
Anyway,
Penny.
It's okay. But my point is, we all want to start 2021 now, and we start with a reboot. So how do you define a reboot, Dave?
Well, I think I'll give you an example, a real life example. One of my closest cousins was a event planner, and did event planning at the Greek Theater, which you probably have heard of. It's here in LA. And just loved her job, doing great. And all of a sudden COVID hits and there's no more events. So they eventually had to let 90% of the staff go. She was one of them. And she's a mother with a son and husband who works at UPS, so he's great. But
yeah, no kidding.
So she was just like, what am I going to do? We need this extra income. And so one of the things she had done all these years was she loved to craft, and she loved to make earrings, and she loved Hawaiian. She's all about loving. She loves Hawaii as her favorite place in the world. So she would make these beautiful flower wooden earrings and necklaces, and they were just beautiful. And I said, why don't you start selling this on Etsy? In fact, why don't we do a live show on Facebook, build up an audience, and we'll send them over to Etsy. And this was, I want to say April, and she's starting to make some real money now from it, where this might be something to keep going forward. She's adding more product to it. She's making her own soaps now, and she's very happy with all of this and is doing a great job. And her son, my other cousin, is in high school, and he wanted like a job. He's a junior. So he got interested in starting his own live show, selling different candy to his fellow, different hard to find candies. And so that's been kind of moving for him as well. But I mean, you have to think outside the box when you're rebooting, when you're pushed against the wall. What am I going to do? That was kind of my whole situation when COVID hit. Our bread and butter is schools. I mean, you get tons of POs from schools, and dried up immediately. And we're like, okay, what are we going to do? And I started thinking, they can use all these tools to do the live videos and Zooms and all that stuff. Let's start ramping that up. And that changed everything. That we've been having a banner year. Unfortunately, it's during this time, but it just saved us. I mean, I would have been very scared, had not we turned this around. So we're very lucky that we were in the right place at the right time, I guess, to provide things. I mean, we were selling stuff to funeral homes all over the United States, which is really sad, but they're live streaming funerals because people can't attend, and they wanted to know, so there was a guy that has an app specifically for this job, and we partnered up, and he recommended my gear, and I recommended his app, and it was just every day we were getting things like that. It was insane. And so anyway, it's just been an amazing little turnaround. So I think when things have you back against the wall, you've just got to search, like, what are your, I don't want to say qualifications, but what are you what's your experience? What have you done all these years? You know, how can that help other people? Because that's what it's about. It's not, oh, I'm going to get rich, I'm going to do this. It's how can I help Viveka or Deb make better videos or sound better or have better lighting or, you know, whatever. How can I help them? Because by helping them, that's going to turn to me as someone, you know, someone's going to say, oh, Viv's going to say, Dave's stuff did this. And that's it. That's the advertising you want.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna flip you guys. Hold tight. That is really the key thing. Is that it goes back to the mission, the why you do what you do, and if the result is to help others, then you're already a little bit golden because that's not only good for you, it's good for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so Viv, you go.
Well, I think it's already been answered, but I would say, you know, you've got these I'll call it accidental events, like, you know, finding out your fiance sleeping with your business partner, or
that's a great,
or someone saying, here's $500,000, you know, do you want to go into business together? I like the latter.
Once I have the money, then we can all have a sleepover or something.
There we go.
Okay, gotcha.
But you also have people who, you know, or like your was it your cousin who, you know, not really accidental, but like all of a sudden you have to shift. And then you have people who are really thoughtful about it and set goals and go, okay, by 2022, I want to have this business and that business. And I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. I just think in both cases, there needs to be a dream, there needs to be that leap taken, and there needs to be follow through. Because so many people have dreams. Oh, one day I'm gonna, you know, feed the world. And it never ever happens because they either aren't forced into it, or they don't have that goal set and they don't have the actions that they need to take in order to acquire that, you know, that dream. And so not that you shouldn't have dreams are great, but if you really, really want to manifest that dream, then you need to take action. It's just that, you know, when you have the accidental pivot, you're forced into it. You're shoved off that cliff, whether you like it or not.
I used to tell people that, you know, because I left the teaching job was very cushy too, because and it has a pension, it has everything.
Yeah. Health insurance.
Yeah, health. That was the big thing. Is I pay a lot of money now for that, but that was the big thing. Was you know, you're leaving. Are you sure you want to leave that? What if this doesn't work out? You can't have that mindset. You got to burn. I say I'm attacking the mainland. I'm burning the boats, and that's gonna be our place now. And so. That's the kind of mindset that you have to have when you're going off and doing stuff like this.
You have to commit 100%, you know,
or 50% while you're doing one thing, and then you're figuring out the side hustle that hopefully, I mean, and could you have known when iOgrapher started that it would become your whole life?
No. Literally my whole life, Monday through Sunday.
Yeah.
But the difference is I love every second of it. Yeah. Even though I loved teaching, I looked forward to spring break and summer vacation. You know, those were wonderful times. You know, I had to, you know, because it's basically, yeah, I'm teaching, but you're also kind of babysitting a bunch of kids all day. I don't care if they're high school or what, you know. So,
I respect teachers so much.
Yeah, that's so.
I don't even know how.
To, you know, take the vacations was great, but now I don't care about that. I'm up till midnight some nights. So I was just doing my work because I know I need to get gift guides done for the holidays. Yeah. I'm talking with manufacturers around the world. I've got a copywriter in the eastern side of Canada. You know, it's like I'm all over the place, you know. So but I love it. I'm passionate. And once you do something that's yours and you have a vested interest in it, whole different story than working for the man 9 to 5, you know.
So true.
Okay, so we kind of answered why is rebooting important, but do you have any additional thoughts on that, Bev?
You know, I think, and I love what Dave said, you know, cushy job, like, you know, I'm making the money. And how many people just before COVID hit were making the money and getting the good health insurance and staying in their job. even though they didn't, even though it wasn't 100% who they were, even though they weren't being able to express their brilliance and their passion and their gifts. And then COVID came along, and a lot of people just went into a massive despair and used the $600 a month to like buy beer and catch up on all of Netflix.
Yeah.
And then some people, did what your son and your cousin did and said, okay, I got to do something here. And then they went out and they did it. And now they're experiencing success at it, which is, I love that. And what kid isn't passionate about candy? I mean, I feel like that's something my stepson would have done too. So, I just love that. And it's scary to take the leap. I think it's almost scarier to take the leap when you're comfortable than to take the leap when you're uncomfortable, because the golden handshake, right? It's just.
So one of the big things is there's so many tools now to help you to take these types of leap. Yeah. I mean, when I did the prototype and 3D printed it, if this had been 10 years earlier, I would have had to have spent tens of thousands of dollars to make a prototype. It cost $200 for the materials, So, and then the fact that we can start our own Facebook page, when we can go live and be our own home shopping network. Something now that Amazon is doing, where I can go live on there to get my Amazon account, because we sell a lot of product on Amazon, and I can be a home shopping network guy talking about my, this is why you should buy my stuff. Or I can go on to Periscope, or I can go onto LinkedIn Live now, which that's been a great opportunity for me, reaching the LinkedIn Live community, because it's a whole, those are people that really can use my stuff in business and things like that, and that's turned out to be really good as well. But there's always
now,
all these opportunities are here and available because the technology is there, and I think people should be less afraid to take a little leap. And what's going to happen? Oh, it didn't work. Let's fail again and learn from it, and let's move on.
And like you said, Deb, you can always go in and do it as a side hustle until you have to quit your day job. Which is what I did, which is what Dave did, which is what you did, Yeah,
well, and now I have everything. People say, "Hey, Deb, what do you do?" I said, "What day is it?" Because I have, I'll put me here. Because I do coaching and I do communications and I do work with my book and I speak, and a lot of people would say, "Deb, it's so much," and I say, yes, it is, because for me, getting to talk to people and a platform for it is what I love. I mean, even when I do writing, I always say I write because I like to talk. I enjoy getting to know people and sharing their stories. So for me, all the different facets of me is like, I've got like the what do they call it? When it's like you do everything and it makes you happy. That's me.
Passionate. You are 100% passionate about what you do. I knew that from the minute that we had our first conversation.
Exactly.
Well, and I had in my pivot is I had a primary client 2.5 years ago, and when they went away, it was like, okay, I could get a bunch of new clients to fill the gap, or I could dive fully into my passion, my mission, which is to help people figure out what they want and how to get it, how to define, plan, and achieve their goals. And every time, or rather ever since that, so I rebranded as the Deb Method, and a couple months later, an agent found me. The end of the year, I had Mango interested, and then my book came out last January. And I get to still write and still talk and still coach and talk about my system, which I know works because I've used it. So there you go. What advice do you have for those who need to reboot or pivot? Because I think the other thing that I do say with frequency is when I think of all the things that had to happen for my book to come out 2 months before the pandemic, it's just like amazing. But I think people are finally at that point where they're like, okay, life's going to be like this, maybe more than a little while longer. And it's time. And whether they have a day job and they want to start a side hustle because they no longer have to commute, so they have bonus time during the day, or their job went away and they have to figure out what's next. It starts with that choice, I think, making that choice to say, okay, I am ready for my life to start. I'm ready to look for Goaltopia, that dream life that I want. Let me really dig in, because, well, that's my advice, is to like really take that time to figure out what that is, because you're going to be more successful if you know what you want and you're passionate about it. And I say this all the time, so I'm going to throw it back to Deb to add her additional thoughts on that.
And I would say all of that, and invest in yourself. Invest, if you can monetarily invest in people to help you, then absolutely do that. And people to do what you shouldn't be doing or can't do, like for me, graphics. Invest. And if you don't have any money, then you make relationships and, you barter. I know when I started LinkedIn Business, I mean, it was not, I had like nothing. I had a credit card. And so I did a lot. But I did a ton, and with a very low limit. And so I did a ton of, trade. I did a lot of LinkedIn profiles and LinkedIn training in exchange for a website, and in exchange for this, and exchange for that. So, if you can somehow invest in yourself that way. And then I would also say invest in community, because you're really going to need support. And invest in a positive community, because we're like, oh, I've got my family. Your family, especially if you're one of those people who've already tried a bunch of stuff and it didn't work out, your family is not going to be the best support system for you. So find a support system. It might be a Facebook group. It might be a friend that you call. It might be, I don't know what, but you do make sure that a mastermind group, make sure that you're surrounded by successful people who will support you in your efforts.
Yes, and everybody here is, of course, welcome to join my Facebook group, Write On Online, which is all about not just a place to say what you're working on and report on your goals and share your wins, but encouragement, community to find your people. Yeah, absolutely. When I had the live group, there would be people who would come in, and it started as a group for writers and evolved to writers, creatives, and entrepreneurs. But people would come in and they're like, my family doesn't get me. And that's why you need communities aside from your family.
Exactly.
Right? Oh, yeah. Except Dave works with his family, so.
Stuck with them. I can't get rid of them. No, I agree. Everything that Viveka said. You all have talents. I've known there's people that I've worked with that, especially in my Learn to Go Live training that I have this group of people in a private Facebook group that I help with. One guy is in Canada. He's an accountant, but he hates it and wants he's an older guy, older than me, I should say. And he loves making pens out of wood. These intricate pens that are amazing. And so he really wanted to learn so he could do lives and show how he does it all. And then I said, you got to sell these on Etsy, And so that's turning into something fun for him and exciting. The fact that you can go to an Etsy if you have a crafty talent, that there's a whole platform there for you to sell on and show your wares. There's a girl that I connected with recently. Adobe has a thing called Adobe Max every year. It's a big convention of creatives and whatnot. And so we sponsor stuff for them. And one of the sessions was this girl who talked about stop motion, using stop motion in Instagram because movement in Instagram makes people want to watch it and not just another picture. So I used to do a lot of stop motion with my students, and I've always loved it. And I was like, God, she's really got me back passionate about this again. And so we connected, and I sent her a bunch of gear, but her story was just amazing. She graduated from design school, went to work at a big company, sitting in her cubicle every day doing her work. And then she got to a point where like, really, is this the rest of my life? It's funny that these young, she's probably, this happened when she was like 23, 24. And, pondering about that at that time, like, yeah, I get a paycheck, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But they're pondering this. But anyway, so she thought, I'm going to do as a hobby on my side, I'm going to go back to doing some of my creative things, because one of the things I loved my whole life was magic. Ever since she was a little girl, she loved magic. So stop motion was kind of always magical to her. So she started to do these little things on her Instagram page. And all of a sudden she did this one where this coffee cup came in and spun around. And then they poured the coffee in, and then smoke came out of it, and the coffee kind of moves around again and then goes out of frame. And it said it was something funny, like drink coffee or something. I don't know. But anyway, she all of a sudden was starting to get people watching this and getting more and more followers. And she said to herself, you know what? I'm gonna quit my job. I've got $5,000 saved, and I'm gonna try and make something of this and see what happens.
That's so cool.
So within the first month, Starbucks called her because they saw that.
Oh my God.
Hired her to do something like that for them.
Wow.
And Doritos called her, and it's just on and on. These brands that are big brands,
wow,
called her to do these jobs, and she hadn't dipped a dime into the $5,000, and is now has her own little agency by herself doing, and her boyfriend, and they make great videos and stuff like that. So
cool.
I love stories like that, because when before in history could you go and do stuff like that? Just something you're passionate about could turn monetarily into something great for you, right? So I just tell people out there, try it out. Try to find what your passion is. Don't be afraid. If you fail, keep failing.
Fail forward, man.
I tell people I failed until I was 49 when I started iOgrapher.
Yep.
I was always doing stuff, making money, but I wasn't like thrilled about everything I was doing, I used to think that I loved the movie business, but once we were done with example was I was producing a film in Chicago. Kathleen Turner was in it, Jason Alexander, Regina King. It's called Love Nashing in Chicago. Yeah. And here I was on Michigan Avenue with Kathleen Turner. They had closed down the Escada store for us so she could try on clothes. And, I was living the life of the producer. It was great. And we're living in the Water Tower, the Ritz-Carlton, and then, it's all over. And then you're back at home and you're like, I got to start all over again. I got to find a new script. I got to find money for that movie. I got to, and so I was like, I may love it at the time I'm there, but it goes away. It's not lifelong, Yeah. So, I just think people have so many opportunities now to do wonderful, exciting things. And I wish I was 30 years younger.
It's so true. I'm just, making a couple little notes in chat. And that's really the thing, and I did my stint. I worked in publishing. I worked in corporate. I worked for private school. I did a lot of different things. And especially I know a lot of people in most of those worlds now anyway. But I would see people just being absolutely miserable at work. And it's like, then do something that you're not miserable about, not at work, and see what comes of that. So in everything we need, we're at the computer anyway, most of the time. Why not look into something interesting? Okay, so we're about to wrap up, but
I gotta go. I'm getting my phone's blowing up. I was supposed to be somewhere a minute ago.
Before you go, and then Dave and I'll wrap up. What bonus goal do you want to give people for rebooting?
Oh man, didn't I say enough already?
No, we need more wisdom.
No, we need more wisdom. I can pull something from what you said before. If you would invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself. And I would just say, I want to reiterate, one of my favorite terms, I guess, is failing forward. Like, you're going to fail. You're gonna. So learn from it and let it catapult you to the next, well, maybe not keep failing forward. Keep failing forward.
Just fail until you die.
It was good to see you, Dave.
Thank
See you,
you so
Viveka.
much for jumping in, Viv.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, so I corrected it, so I feel the need to put that up. Okay, so for Viveka's bonus goal,
Mhm.
I think failing is probably not a really good bonus goal because it kind of goes against everything I stand for. But to spend some time developing your community, find a new community. That works.
Well, even when you find these communities, and if you have this goal that you like, if you know a ton of stuff, I belong. One of my new hobbies, which is a bad hobby, don't ever get into this, anybody. It is collecting baseball or sports cards. I did it many years ago, and I found myself there's a resurgence of it. It's there's money to be made. I, for some reason, have gotten drawn back into it. But I belong to all these different Facebook groups, and we talk about it, and I give them my point of view for someone who was in his 20s selling baseball cards and how it is now and just the differences. And you start to build this rapport with people, and they'll come and start asking you questions. Those types of things, if you're going to find a Facebook group that maybe you love to grow roses, and you go in there and you talk about your roses, and then maybe someone's going to keep asking you questions. Other people are going to ask you questions. You're becoming an authority on roses. That can turn into theroseguy.com, where you do a short little video series of 4 videos that you sell for $29 to bring in leads. So you build your email list, and you're telling these people how to get started with roses. Oh, do you want to take my pro course? That's $800. Let's go to there now, you know. But that's, I mean, all of that is real. People are doing this every day in all kinds of niches. And there's never enough people in all the different niches that you can get to. So that's one of the big things that I think people need to be doing.
Okay, so how do we make that into like 3 or 4 words? Because that was a lot of information.
That was a lot. Let's see. I would say find. Well, I don't know 3 or 4 words, but definitely find your passion. What are you passionate about? And then share that knowledge with others to become the authority of that passionate thing that you are passionate about.
Okay,
and
so
then start to look to you, and maybe make your own Facebook page where they'll want to come and talk to you, or your own Twitter feed where you can do Twitter chats about stuff. You know,
yes.
And just keep building that up, and build your email list. Of anything I can tell you guys, yeah, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have YouTube. I am on all the platforms. I have thousands and tens of thousands of followers. But you know what is most worth to me is my email list, because all those places can burn. And at the end of the day, I still have a list of people that want my product or my information, and I can get to them, and I can make them an offer, and I can make money off of it.
Okay, so we have that. Okay, yeah. So we have like a bunch of bonus goals, and I'm going to put everything in the recap in some way, shape, or form. But I think the best bonus goal, and this actually works very well because I've been doing Be Nice to November, where I'm sharing a self-care goal every day. And I think let's just spend some time exploring your passion. Figure out what that is, because rebooting, if you want to do it right, like there's a right and wrong way to reboot, probably not. But if you need to be rebooting, why am I lopsided? Let me change that. Okay, better. If you're going to reboot, if you're going to put the time and energy into reframing your life, do it with something that you are passionate about, because that's going to get you there.
Yep. 100%.
Much faster.
100%.
Okay, so
there's people that like to jump into the hot thing at the moment and try and get into that because that's the wave that's going. But that might not be your thing. You know, you may not have experience in it. You're just trying to catch the wave. You know, stay with what you know.
Absolutely. Well, I always tell people that if they ask me, and I go to this passion-based networking group every Tuesday night, and I'm sure they're bored of me because my answer is always the same. What are you passionate about?
Right.
Goals. What are you passionate about? Helping people figure out their goals.
Right.
So I know it's a single song. You're what you created isn't just about the camera, it's about community. It's bringing people together through the visual
100%.
of it all, right?
100%. It's about storytelling. It's about parents that want to capture their kids' bar mitzvah, or their kids playing soccer, or grandpa's World War II stories, or let's do it better with a better microphone, with a better light. Let me just help you turn these little devices in your pocket into tools that you can tell stories with. And so that's been the mantra, and that's how we've helped tons of people. We get great feedback. They love us, and we just got to give. You just have to keep giving, basically, and it'll come back to you. I promise you.
Okay. I managed to get it down to.
That's good. Spend quality time exploring your passion and go from there. Yes, 100%.
Okay. Bonus goal that encompasses everything that we talked about today. Dave, thank you so much. Tell people. Oh well, first let's tell people where they can find Viv. Go to Vengreso.com.
Yep.
And Viv is, and I'll also link to when I interviewed her for Gold Chat Live a few months ago. We talked more about LinkedIn. And Dave, this is where people can find you. Is there anything?
Every social channel and on the web. So.
Excellent. And any final words of wisdom?
No, I think there's been some challenging times, and I don't think that it's going to be the only challenging times in our lifetime, but it sure was a good learning block here. And, if it was scary to you, good, learn from it and learn how that cannot happen again, how you can't lose your job again, how you've got something that's secure and foolproof because it's something you love and you're passionate about, and you're sharing that with others, and there's a market for that, I guarantee you.
There's a market for your passion. Give yourself the time and the energy to figure out what that is. Mm-hmm. And if you need help drilling down, check out your goal guide, or
this one.
Or go to thedebmethod.com and actually start 2021now.com redirects to the Deb Method, because and please check out, follow at the Deb Method, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn, and throughout the rest of this year and next year, which starts either December 1st or January 1st, depending on your calendar, I want to help you all succeed. So join my community, embrace the new year ahead of you, because anything is possible. I'm Debra Eckerling. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Viveka.
Buy her book.
I think I should do like a boomerang loop of that.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you. And please join me every Sunday night at 7 on Twitter for Gold Chat. And I will be back next Monday and every Monday at 4 for Gold Chat Live. In the meantime, find your passion, follow it, do great things. We know you can do it.